Christianity in the Middle Ages by Pedro. When and where the Middle Ages took place. Well, the Middle Ages was mainly based in Europe and was the time period between the 5th and the 15th century AD, which is basically a millennium. As you can see, there is many countries of which you have never seen before. This is because many different empires were all conquering different pieces of land, making the names of the countries a bit unusual. The Middle Ages began after the fall of the Roman Empire and ended before the Renaissance and the Age of Discovery. But Christian prominence began in the late Middle Ages because of Gregory the Great. Christian importance. Christianity began to be important mainly because of this man we previously talked about, Gregory the Great. Gregory the Great persuaded the citizens, king, royal family, etc. into being Christian by scaring them with the stories of what awaited for them in hell. So naturally, every woman, man, child was turned Catholic. This number of Christians would grow all around Europe, causing the religion to be even more popular and important. The Christian church would then realize how prominent their religion was and what they could use this power to do. The church began an office called the medieval papacy, of which started taxing the citizens of the public and making decisions that would change the community and how it worked. The medieval papacy was even more important than the king, as he was also controlled by the Catholic Church at that time. Heresy in the Middle Ages. During this time of Christian prominence, heretics existed. These heretics were beings that didn't believe in the church's teachings or believed that parts of the Bible were false. These heretics started as only few that called themselves religious but thought that parts of the Bible were false or had their own renditions of the Bible. Then these numbers grew and parted into different groups. These groups were looked down upon by the church and thought that these new religions would take over Christianity, and so the medieval Inquisitions began. The medieval Inquisition was a plan thought up by the church to extinct the world of heretics. They proceeded to execute any existing heretics by burning them at the stake, with only bits of information about the person. Politicians took this as a great way to execute anyone they thought would challenge their role at the big political table. The church and the people didn't know any better than to execute the chosen person. Arius is known to be one of the most notorious of the heretics. Arius is one of the most well-known and controversial heretic of all time, as his thought that Christ was not the Son of God and was not equal to God was very questionable, and he also started the Jehovah's Witness religion. The Medieval Crusades. The Medieval Crusades were a series of military campaigns in the medieval England against the Muslims. These crusades started with the Muslims of the Middle East taking power of the very sacred city of Jerusalem in 1076 AD. The city was wanted by the Muslims as the founder of the religion, Muhammad, had spent time there, leaving a dome where he had supposedly sat and prayed. The Christian side never shied from the amount of willing battlers because it was considered very holy to do such a thing in the name of religion. There were many crusades in the city 8 in fact, ranging from the first in 1096 to 1099 to the last in 1270 AD. These crusades included the first in 1096 to 1099 AD, the second from 1147 to 1192 AD, the fourth in 1201 to 1204 AD, the fifth in 1217 to 1221 AD, and the sixth from 1228 AD to 1229 AD, the seventh from 1248 AD to 1254 AD, and the last, which is from in 1 year, which is 1270 AD. As you have heard, these battles went on for 200 years. Alas, the Middle Ages ends in 1500 AD. At this time, Christian prominence was at its peak. This Christianity passed on into the Renaissance and the Age of Discovery. This age of time has left a big impact on our society today and how prominent the Christian religion is in many countries around the world.